concept of adaptive management, or AM, was not part of NEPA when the Act was signed into law. It was identified as a tool for NEPA in a 1997 CEQ study that recognized environmental protection afforded by the traditional environmental management model, predict, mitigate, and implement, depends on the accuracy of the predicted impacts and expected results of any mitigation. The study concluded that a major difficulty with the traditional environmental impact analysis process is that it is a one-time event. This realization that a static model of environmental conditions needed to be replaced with the notion that environmental conditions are changing caused a fundamental shift in how NEPA documents should be viewed. Including AM now allowed for NEPA documents to monitor and adapt to the changing conditions in the environment. Let's begin with describing what adaptive management is and is not. Adaptive management is many things. The process promotes flexible decision-making, emphasizes transparency and shared decision-making, and gets stakeholders more involved in the process. In a few words, AM acknowledges the uncertainty of natural systems and provides a process to deal with this uncertainty. As you see on this slide, CEQ has a more technical definition of AM. To be clear, adaptive management is not a substitute for NEPA. Federal agencies cannot skip the NEPA process and only rely on AM. NEPA is statutory. AM is not. That said, using AM is consistent with NEPA's goal of decision-making. What makes adaptive management attractive to agencies preparing an EIS is that using AM has the potential to reduce the need to revise or prepare new NEPA documents if conditions change in the original EIS. Incorporating AM allows the lead agency to update the existing EIS using the conditions of AM in the original document. When incorporating adaptive management into NEPA, the lead agency must include specific language in the EIS in order for AM to be of value as the environmental conditions change. The EIS must acknowledge that AM will continue after the EIS is finalized. Consequently, the parameters of AM must be detailed in the EIS, and any future decisions must follow the guidance in the EIS. Additionally, the EIS must also address the anticipated effects of AM adjustments and explain how the required monitoring will ensure the new action is achieving the desired outcome. Incorporating AM into an EIS is a significant task, but the consensus is that it is worthwhile. Now we want to look briefly at the time when adaptive management is a good idea and instances where AM will not be beneficial. In the 2013 CEQ guidance, there are 8 instances where AM would be an appropriate addition to a NEPA document. As you can read, the criteria for using AM are specific. Some of the necessary requirements are a true management choice must be made and objectives can be identified. Solid information is available for making a decision, and a means of monitoring exists that will reduce uncertainty. So that you do not get the impression that adaptive management is always appropriate, there are clearly defined instances in which AM would not be helpful. 3 examples of this are instances where you do not have clear goals or anticipated outcomes, situations where change is not a likely outcome, and situations where there are unresolvable conflicts. To close this lecture, remember that adaptive management features a flexible decision-making process that is, by design, adjustable in the face of uncertainties. Also, AM is not for every EIS, but when it's used, it must be spelled out in the EIS, and monitoring is required to ensure that adaptive management is being implemented per the EIS.